What's up, Ravens fans? It's time to hear from you guys on Ravens Mailbag. Busy weekend. We just had 12 draft picks, and one of them was a quarterback, number 32, Lamar Jackson. The Ravens took there. So lots of questions about him. Probably no surprise there.
Yeah, not shocked at all.
Yeah, so that's where we'll pick things up today. The first question is from Camera Mike 1. And the question is, how much playing time this season do you think that Lamar Jackson will get as a starting quarterback?
Well, I think there are four possible scenarios here. Number one, the one that everybody wants to see, is that Joe Flacco is gangbusters, the Ravens offense is lighting it up, and he continues to be the starting quarterback the entire season. And I think that will be the best case scenario, not only because it means the Ravens are playing really well, but it gives Lamar Jackson a development year, which I think he could use to kind of improve as a pocket passer. Second scenario is that the Ravens are doing well as a team, but the offense is sluggish, and the Ravens decide to add some energy and excitement and kind of change things up midseason and insert Lamar Jackson as the starting quarterback. The third scenario, and this is the one that I don't see happening, is that the Ravens aren't doing well at all as a team overall. They're out of the playoff chase, and they decide to give Lamar Jackson some reps late in the season just to get ready for the future.
Yeah, so let's start playing for the future. Yeah.
Exactly. The fourth scenario is that, and I definitely hope this one doesn't happen
Right.
as well, is that Joe Flacco gets injured, and then they obviously would turn the reins over to Lamar Jackson. So obviously everybody here in Baltimore wants Joe Flacco to play well. I mean, that is the best case scenario. And I think that would give Lamar Jackson his best start to his career.
And like you said, I think it's worth noting that Joe Flacco feels like he can play much better this season. He's
exactly.
healthy. Everyone around him feels like this is
The Ravens expect him to play well. I think he can.
Yep, absolutely. All right, next question. This one comes to us from Sika Bendoff. And the question is, how often do you guys think that tight end Mark Andrews will line up at wide receiver this season, because it seems like he did a lot of that in college? Well, yeah, that's basically all he did in college. He played in a wide open offense at Oklahoma. He had nearly 1,000 receiving yards. It's kind of funny. There's so much talk about Hayden Hurst because he was the first round pick. Mark Andrews actually was the more productive college player.
And he was named the best college tight end in college football.
Yes, exactly. So he's somebody, I thought the comparison that Eric DeCosta made was a good one, which is he reminds him of Dennis Pitta. Not necessarily an inline guy, but somebody who can catch a ton of passes out of the slot. I think that's the role that the Ravens will really have for him. They already have a bunch of guys who can be inline guys as blockers and also up the middle of the field like Hayden Hurst. I mean, they have Hayden Hurst, they have Nick Boyle, they have Max Williams. Those are the guys that you're going to put on the line, and they're looking for people that can move the chains as a valuable slot guy, and I think that's probably the most likely role for Mark Andrews.
Kick it back to 2010. Remember, Ed Dixon went in the 3rd round, Dennis Pitta went in the 4th round. Pitta ended up being the more productive. I'm not saying that's the case this year, but it could be, down the line.
Yeah.
Our last question comes from @HubRavens, and the question is, could we see a Max Williams, Nick Boyle, or Breshad Perriman trade before the regular season? Well, obviously, like we were just talking about, the Ravens added 2 tight ends in the draft. They also added 2 wide receivers. So, yeah, the competition is going to get fierce this summer at both of those positions. Now, I don't think the Ravens are going to trade Nick Boyle or Max Williams, both because they need blockers and because they like tight ends.
Also, that position has been hit hard with injuries the last few years. We know how things can change quickly at that spot.
Yep, you don't want to get too thin at tight end because, like I said, the Ravens like dual tight ends. And they need blockers, and in Greg Roman's scheme, he uses those blocking tight ends a lot in the running game. So they need, I think, all the help they can get at tight end. Then you turn to wide receiver, and I think Breshad Perriman's definitely going to get a fair shake at earning a spot on this roster. If he comes in and lights it up in OTAs and in the summer practices and I think in preseason games, he's got to do it in games, then I think the Ravens could very well keep him on the roster, make room for him because they know the talent is there. Now, if another team comes knocking and has a decent trade offer and maybe Perriman isn't fitting into the plans because some of these guys are emerging, sure, if the Ravens could get a good offer, I think they would be open to possibly trading him. But I would say it's probably more unlikely than it is likely.
And I think it's something that will not be worked out until we get into those preseason games.
It'd be late.
Yeah. All right, so that does it for this week's edition of Ravens Mailbag. But as always, we love to hear from you guys, so send in those questions every single week on social media using the hashtag Ravens Mailbag. Thanks for watching, everyone. Have a great rest of your day.